that is going to concern you as a chair. And if you are successful, I would like to ask you first, do you believe as a chair of the IEBC? First, do you believe as a chair of the IEBC, you should inspire trust, confidence?
Absolutely, Daktari, I should.
Thank you very much. And I agree absolutely that the chair of the Electoral Commission should inspire trust and confidence to all the stakeholders and the people of Kenya. Therefore, I would like to ask you to tell the panel and the people of Kenya watching you, what strategies you are going to put in place to minimize or end the trust deficit and confidence crisis that the IEBC experiences.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. The IEBC itself must, in my view, get to be felt its presence positively within the Kenyan folk, within the communities, by, first of all, in its activities and endeavors, targeting their various electoral zones. We don't want a commission that is based in Nairobi, and yet it has never felt perhaps what is on the ground maybe in the rural remote parts of Kenya. So when it comes to IEBC activities like voter registration, when it comes to IEBC activities like review of boundaries, I believe the commissioners themselves and the chair himself must be the lead, because in any case, I have a full-time job. So I would like to be that chair of IEBC who will be reachable to the very roots of our nationhood, and not just be based at the headquarters at anniversary towers, because that can be like being in ivory tower at anniversary towers. So I would like to be an interactive chair who feels and hears what the Kenyans are saying. If Kenyans are complaining about not having their names in some voter register, it should be taken seriously. Those are the basics that the commission have failed in maybe its mandate. So first of all, I have to be listening to what the Kenyans say about the commission. We need to have that role of, it's even the principle of state rational values, that we be people-centered. We take the people of Kenya as our clients. We take the voter as the point of reference in all our mandates. We need to look at the various needs of the voter. If there are special interest category of voters, a chair should be sensitive to such areas of interest. We need to address such perhaps quickly. Then the other issue as on trust deficit is to make sure that our processes are absolutely transparent. IEBC has had some controversies, especially around tendering and the rest. We need to be transparent as a commission. We need to have be accessible. Today, if you go to the IEBC website, many of the things you see are just the secretariat work and participation maybe in workshops and the rest, and the events the secretariat has done, but you don't see much about what the commissioners were doing. So we want the commissioners and the secretariat to work in tandem and be felt among the Kenyan population. Secondly is the stickability to the electoral circle. I'll endeavor as the chair to make sure that pre-election activities which point a lot to the eventual outcome of the credibility of the election or otherwise, are taken seriously. We lobby for adequate funding if that's a factor, because you realize that in IEBC, everything stalls after the election. And when an election is near, like 2026, for 2027, that's when Treasury releases funds and everybody's now on the run. And I think the commission ends up biting much than it can chew, and perhaps even, being felt little impact. And that's why you saw, for example, in the last election, there was a confusion about the ballot boxes for Kakamega and Mombasa County and 4 constituencies and 2 wards, because they do last-minute rushes, because they don't stick to this electoral circle, which has maybe 3 phases of pre-election, during election, and post-election. So I would like us to focus more there in my strategy with my commissioners and the secretariat if I become the chair. Lastly, enforcement of electoral offenses, and also the, endeavoring to have the election finance management, financing control regulations in place. Because those are still issues that affect the voter, and you find that the ordinary voter experiences election violence, for example, and nothing happens to the perpetrators of the election offenses. And so they feel that the process will not be fair and free, and they lack the trust deficit. Same thing with the financing. Some people spend a lot of money and people abuse the money factor, and they do not get the leaders they deserve. And Kenyans also lose their trust in the commission. So those are urgent issues that need to be intervened by the commission towards enhancing that space of trust.
Thank you very much, Wakili. Lastly, would you personally take responsibility and, let's say, resign if something like what happened in, if your commissioners were so divided that some leave you at Bomas and others remain with you? Would you consider that as a reflection of your leadership and take personal responsibility over that?
Yes, that reflects badly. I remember even the Supreme Court looking at that point, and I think they commented on one of the lines that the chair did not help even the situation. I'm trying to quote them, but I'm not quoting them verbatim. So the image matters, and the way to go about it is that in the boardroom, disagree as much as you can, but agree when out there. So in the boardroom, the chair and the commissioners need to have certain agreed working formulas and approaches to issues. If it's about relaying the results, for example, and announcing and declaration, they need to be clear to each other. How will we go about this process? Who will do what and at what point? And it's all about the team play factor that I said. And we also need to be alive that the commission, I think there have been conflicting theories about how a commission should be. One, should they all come in together like maybe this one, which you are recruiting, who will come in all together? So that when the terms lapse, we have the problem of no commission. And without the commission, some things cannot just happen. For example, the boundary delimitation cannot happen. Who will go and listen to the views of Wananchi when they are suggesting their electoral, maybe ward boundaries? Or should we have a staggered approach of appointing commissioners, whereby some come in early, some come in later, and leave earlier and others remain? The problem with that, Dr. is that we need to have the gelling of the commissioners. And if the commissioners come together at one go like the 7 or 6 who will come in, it's easy for them to gel together. If they find others and others leave, then there may be camps.
Chair, what I was asking the candidate.
So I want to come to your answer, Madam. So I believe that depending on the circumstances of the day, I'll endeavor to bring the commission together, considering all those factors I've tried to enumerate. But if it is impossible, then the honorable thing will be to resign.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, Wakili, and all the best.
Thank you, Doc.
The next person to ask questions to you is FCPA, Tanui, and he will engage you briefly. Welcome, Tanui.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana Asembo.
Yes, one FCPA.
Yeah, one of the latest amendments on the IEBC Act, which was done last year, was to provide a new section 24A, which provides for the review of conduct of general election and requires the commission to review its operations and make necessary changes immediately after every election or after every general election. So if considered and appointed the chair, what benefit would the review of the conduct of general election will be to you as a commission and to us as Kenyans? And then how would you go about it in terms of undertaking that new provision? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. That will be an essential and an area of prime importance, because as I've said, the electoral circle should have 3 phases. So this post-election cycle of reviewing how the previous election was held will help a lot in, first of all, addressing the shortcomings that were there in the past election or the preceding election. It will also address emerging issues that sometimes are raised by the petitions that follow. I remember in the Supreme Court case of the last election, the judges were advising certain measures that they think the IEBC should undertake. So this will be the appropriate avenue and forum, this avenue of review. And so I believe that looking at what the Secretary may have done, because some of the areas of review will be administrative, I believe I'll look for the reports already of activities that are taken by the Secretariat, and from there engage them more and implore upon my commission to fast forward or make it a priority such review before the next election.
Now, we are looking at your CV, and you are the Deputy President of FKF. For how many years?
That is 2012, 24 years, say 5 years.
Okay. So at some point, I remember the FKF president was suspended from office.
Not in my time, sir.
Not in your time?
Not in my tenure.
Okay. So how can that experience or that experience at FKF be of benefit to you, if given the position of chairperson of IEBC?
Thank you. Chair, it was an opportunity of service when I was the Deputy President of FKF. We were serving Kenyan football. Kenyan football has many players, not the football players, but stakeholders. You find big corporates there like the Kenya Police, they are there. Institutional, sorry, the KDF are there, they have teams. We have big corporates like breweries, they are there, they have a team. KCB are there. And you go all the way to the ordinary fan and also the players themselves, who are the real men and women of the game, or boys and girls of the game. So when we are managing the country's football, one, We were looking at developing the sport throughout the Republic of Kenya. So we are able to reach out the rest of many parts of Kenya, and I know many parts of the country. So I believe it will also help me in my IEBC role by knowing several areas of Kenya. Two, there are many relations that come in the sport, from sponsorships to international cooperation, such as the FIFA body, which is an international body, and also various countries that come and play or engage with Kenya. And in fact, just to refer to my CV, that's some of the reason why I was motivated to go and do my master's in international relations at the USIU as soon as I left the FKF deputy president. So in essence, the role of a deputy president of Football Kenya Federation is a role that offers leadership to the country. It also matters a lot because these teams represent our country, our image there. So I know about our image, our country's image as Kenya. And every role I'll take up in future, I'll always have the image of my country coming forward, at least for the flag of our nation. So with that national role, I believe in the IEBC role, I can fit in because I know what is the best interest of Kenya, and especially I need to make the Kenyan name, especially democratic practices, as a leading name. Just like you aspire in sports to be also a leading sports nation. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Wish you well. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you.
Next is James Evans Misati, and he will ask you some questions.
Very well, Chair.
Thanks so much, Chair. Robert,
Yes.
you have said you have had experience in managing football, and now you are coming to a totally different field of elections. From your explanation, you have also said about the voter registration where you participated in petitioning IEBC. What are the provisions in law, or which section of the law talks about the continuous voter registration, and why is it not? Why is the voter registration not ongoing as we talk?
Thank you. Under the IEBC Act, I think it could be section 7, but I'm not sure of the exact section. Although I believe that those are matters one can easily refer to. We know where to find such provisions. But the challenge of the continuous voter registration, I think I've already mentioned a bit, has been financial support or the financial deficit within the IEBC because of budgetary support that comes from the Treasury a bit belatedly. And as I said, the challenge has been that most of the work of IEBC is targeted at the crucial hour, the 11th hour, where now every funding is easily available. But I believe that with a commission determined to improve such key mandate of continuous voter registration, which is a dictate of the law, and also by the fact that we need to have as many Kenyans, especially the young ones and those who have attained the age of majority, participate in their democratic role. We need to prioritize that continuous registration exercise by lobbying for not just adequate funding, but time-mass funding. Equally, within the IEBC schemes of work, they can prioritize that agenda and also prioritize the financial. When you have the financial passes, they can play the deliberate measure of prioritizing it.
Maybe you need to check your facts right, because you said you had petitioned the IEBC. If you petition them, you should be able to be aware the provisions that are making the registration not to be ongoing. but nevertheless, check your facts because there are other issues which have made the further registration not to go on, not the financial issues.
I can add more of those. Maybe some of lack of the absence of the commission since 2023. But I welcome your view, sir.
The other thing I like, assuming you find favor in this panel, and you are the chair of IPC, please mention to us some of the priority actions that you will take in preparation to the 2027 general elections.
Thank you. Chair, my first priority will be the gaps in law. For example, we need to have the regulations quickly come in place for the Election Campaign Funding Act. Equally, I would like to prioritize in that regard of law reform. We totally don't have the Referenda Act, nor do we have even regulations to it. I like that to be prioritized. Thirdly, I'd like us to prioritize the cleaning up of the voter register and registration of voters. And also, I would like us to have the question determined of the long outstanding component of boundaries delimitation.
Thanks so much. I wish you well.
Thank you, sir.
I will ask Mrs. Fatuma Saman to also ask you some questions. Kindly, Fatuma.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Asembo, IEBC partners with the stakeholders like the civil society, the media, and interested group in conducting civic education. However, at times, there is the risk of some of them running a partisan narrative or taking advantage of that to attempt to dominate the process. As the IEBC chair, how would you ensure that the Commission maintains neutrality and accuracy during this process?
Thank you, Madam Fatuma. First of all, the mandate of the IEBC is hinged on certain principles, such as fairness, neutrality, to be a neutral arbiter. And so, in the training programs or in stakeholders who support training programs and civic education, I think in our terms of engagement, we'll first have to also illuminate upon them the mandate of the IEBC and the principles that govern the workings of the IEBC. So sometimes you need to engage those who are coming to help you to understand who you are, and where you want to go so that they support you better. Two, in developing whatever training materials, I believe the Commission will play its role in contributing to the content and also the overall exercise of the dissemination approach of the materials. So I believe with those two measures, will ameliorate or at least mitigate on will be biases or other interests beyond the mandate of the IEBC.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, too.
Okay, next I will ask Nicodemus Bore to ask you some questions around leadership. Yeah, thank you.
Very well, sir.
Thank you. And Chairman Asembo, we understand that you have been the chair of the Secretary General of FC Leopards.
Secretary General of FC Leopards 2009 to 2011 and FKF Deputy President 2011 to 2016.
Okay. And being a leader at that status of FC Leopards as a community football team and a national one, one should be able to understand both your own emotions and the emotions of the people that you manage. So based on your self-awareness, what are your key emotional strengths?
Thank you. I believe, first of all, listening. And two, I take interest in what whom I'm interacting with wants to say or how they want to react, so that I give always balanced reaction. And I believe in fairness and also courtesy.
So follow up on that. In 2022, late November, there was an altercation between you and a person in court.
Yes.
And if there was a boxing contest, I think you won.
Thanks for the humor.
So will you say you are in touch with your emotional ability to control yourself?
Yes, I'll address that issue. Thank you for bringing it up. First and foremost, I apologize that the media put it out of context. I was within the court corridors outside chamber number 24 with my client, who was the estranged wife of the defendant. So while we were waiting for a matter to be quoted, it was a children matter, it's a sensitive matter, family matter. So prior to that, I had, out of executing court orders, I had jailed the defendant for failing to support his children. So I think he was bitter. So he took that opportunity to, first of all, attack the lady. And I came in just to prevent that, to stop him. And then he turned on me and attacked me. So it was a human reaction of perhaps self-defense. And we reported the matter with the Judiciary Police Unit, and the necessary legal avenues took charge. So I wouldn't say that for 22 years I've been going to court, I've never had an altercation in court. So that was an unfortunate incident, but caused by this particular litigant. And litigants should know that we advocates, we are not the parties to the case. We are just there for an important role to serve the justice ends. So I believe that advocates, well, in court, can suffer such occupational hazard, just like sometimes the police also get to suffer such occupational hazard. So in fact, if there was proper context of media reporting, I was the victim rather than the assailant.
Okay. And are you aware of any warrant of arrest that has been issued by the Kibera law courts?
I'm not aware.
Okay. That's okay. Secondly, we have received a lot of memorandum affecting talking about your leadership skills and your integrity. One among them is that during your tenure as a FKF vice chair, there was a lot of misappropriation of funds. Can you highlight a few issues on that and maybe bring to the public what really transpired?
Thank you. I believe that was a misconception. We never faced any accusations of misuse of funds. The funds we receive are always accountable. If there are FIFA funds at FKF, we account them per FIFA standards. They send international auditors, and FIFA would actually take sanctions against an official who misappropriates such funding from FIFA, including being banned from football-related activities as one of their sanctions. I have never been banned, and none of my office colleagues at the time has ever been banned. Equally, if it is government support, the ESCC and other relevant bodies will have handled such and we've never faced such questioning over the funding in our time. So I believe those are misconceptions, and misconceptions also abound out there. Until you give us such opportunity to clarify, some of us will just get condemned and heard.
Chair, and maybe a follow-up question on that. The position you are seeking is a position of a chair. And as I'll quote what Adams Olo kept saying, you're supposed to be as mweupe kama pamba. Have you ever been convicted?
I faced a criminal charge, but I am exploring the relevant legally available avenues of special of appeal, and the matter I think should be sub judice. We had a court session on Monday. It's coming up again, so I believe we should leave it as sub judice, so it's not true.
Chairman, thank you very much.
We're not discussing the merit of the matter. The question was a yes or no.
And I've answered that it's subject to appeal, Chair.
So have you been convicted or not convicted on a criminal matter?
It is challengeable, Chair. The conviction is challengeable because it was on appeal, and I don't know how it will come out.
So you have been convicted?
I wouldn't say so, Chair.
Okay, please.
Maybe I give an example. Honorable Ferdinand Waititu is convicted. True or false?
Yes.
Has he put an appeal?
I have not followed up, but
Yes.
I think he's in jail.
So you have put an appeal?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and the conviction was under which section of the Penal Code?
313.
Okay, thank you. Professor, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Bwana Asembo, just following from Bore and Chair, as you have told us, this position of Chair and IEBC generally, there's a trust deficit. And therefore, the selection panel puts a lot of premium on integrity. Questions have been raised on your conviction. Kenyans out there, what do you tell them? Given you have appealed, yes, but there's a conviction on record. What do you tell them on your integrity so that as we consider?
I'll tell them that under the rule of law, we give room to the courts and the parties before them to exploit the full recourses of law. And it's a fair process that way. It's in the interest of justice. And in the best interest of justice, we need to allow the law to take its course.
Thank you. Along the same line, are you the occupant of flat number A5, third floor, block A, Village Plaza Ngala, LR number 209/148/11?
I'm not the occupant, but I list for my younger brother, whom I'm rehabilitating over some drug abuse.
So you have a lease agreement with the owners.
Correct.
Are you in any arrears?
Yes.
Has an eviction notice been given to you?
Not.
Okay. Maybe just one last question. As chair, or in your past positions, can you tell this committee when your position in leadership was ever challenged on issues of personal integrity, honesty, and how did you address or navigate over the same, if any?
Yes.
Can you tell this panel at least 2 experiences where external political or financial pressure challenged your professional values and how you handled them?
I have never had such occasion.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yes, Bwana Tanwe, FCPA.
Thank you, Chair. Something related to what Prof. and Bore raised. I was looking at the certificates of Akumu Asembo, and one of the documents in that folder is a letter from Law Society of Kenya, and it's called Certificate of Good Standing,
Yes.
dated 20th of March,
Yes.
which must be last week.
Yes.
And it is signed by Mr. Mwavi M. Kitonga.
Yes.
And it tells us that from your documents, that there are no complaints nor past complaints with regard to Mr. Asembo.
Yes.
But from your end, we want to hear from you. Have you had any complaints before registered with the LSK with regard to your, with you being a lawyer and an advocate of the High Court?
I have had complaints from the Advocates Complaints Commission.
Not LSK?
Not LSK.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a council member here, Linda. Would you like to ask some questions, kindly?
Chair, thank you. Now, Council, usually, the Advocates Complaints Commission, they work hand in hand with the Disciplinary Tribunal,
Yes.
the DTC of the Law Society of Kenya. And now the Law Society of Kenya.
The ADT, the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal, right?
It's the DTC, the Disciplinary Tribunal, under the Law Society of Kenya, which works hand in hand with the Complaints Commission.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And where prosecution of matters of discipline or indiscipline against advocates are heard by the Disciplinary Tribunal. Now, please confirm to this panel whether or not you have cases before the Disciplinary Tribunal of the Law Society of Kenya.
As I have said, I've had cases from the Advocates Complaints Commission, and I know that they may end up at the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal.
Counsel, you said you like fairness.
Yes.
Now, the Law Society of Kenya, through their letter dated 17th of March this year, I have presented 5 open cases against you for different disciplinary issues as an advocate of the High Court, 2 of which have been settled. Are you aware? Yes or no, Counsel?
I'm not aware.
Okay. There is a DTC case, disciplinary tribunal case, number 345 of 2023. The nature of the complaint is a dishonorable conduct. That matter is open for hearing. Are you aware?
If it has not been heard, I'll pursue the hearing date, and then I'll be more aware. Madam Vice Chair.
Council, are you aware? Is a yes or no?
I've not been invited to hearing, Madam.
Is this a 2023 matter, Council?
I've not been heard on it.
Okay.
I emphasize that I've not been heard on it.
You also have another disciplinary case, number 392 of 2023, in which the nature of the complaint is withholding clients' funds. $5 million. Are you aware, Council? Is a yes or no? It's an open matter before the DTC.
Who is the complainer of the party?
That has not been disclosed,
Okay.
but this is a matter of 2023.
I am not aware.
You're not aware. DTC number 312 of 2024. The nature of complaint, similarly, is improper handling of clients' funds. Are you aware, Council?
No.
You're not aware of any of
No,
these cases?
I've not been served with
Thank
any.
you. Thank you, Council.
Secretary, can you take a copy of that letter from Kitonga? Mwathi Kitonga, 21st.
20th March.
The one of 20th March, because this is also signed by the same name. So we would like to be able to corroborate whether it's us who have gotten a wrong address and signature, or it is you who got a wrong address and signature. Because the same person cannot write two letters, one to you and one to us. And if that is so, then it means that then the entire LSK has issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I got mine from her, from the signee.
Chair, with your permission, and not to seem to assist the candidate, but maybe because some of these facts are well within my knowledge, the certificate of good conduct has been, I believe, issued because the matters are still pending. The other two have already been settled. So, you know, the right to fair hearing must be accorded to council. Until then we cannot be able to interfere with his issues of good conduct or no good conduct. So he has to be given the right to fair hearing before the disciplinary tribunal.
Okay.
And I believe that is the reason why they have written to the Ms. Mwathi Gitonga is a compliance director at the Law Society of Kenya. So she's the one who has issued that good conduct, basing on the fact that there's no conviction of the candidate before us. But for purposes of the details of whether or not there are matters before the DTC is the reason why we have this letter of 17th of March, 2025.
And to be fair to me, I'm not aware, I've not been heard. So the two.
Okay. Yes, Council.
Chair, thank you very much. Do I understand that among the disciplinary matters, there are two that have been settled that you said you are not aware of?
Yes.
If they have been settled and is not aware of, with whom were they settled?
Maybe the complainant withdrew, you never know. People can file and then withdraw. Maybe.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
yes, Bore?
Bwana Asembo,
yes.
Now that with all these cloudy things around your head, do you think you still want to serve as the chair of IEBC?
Yes, indeed, because those are accusations which will have to be determined and concluded, and my innocence, once proved, I mean, will be it. So it has nothing to do with this job, because until they convict me in those regard, then I think I'm still innocent. And I still have my right to earn a living, to serve Kenya, to reach my ambitions, to reach my goals. I mean, most of you could also have had cases here or there, but it doesn't mean that it affects your leadership role.
That's why we did not apply for IEBC chair.
Maybe you'll apply for other jobs, maybe.
Okay, I'd like to ask Carol to weigh in, and she's here.
Without looking like reopening the issues that we have against you, there's something that is yet not clear to me. There is an allegation here that you've been accused of forging court documents of a minor in a children's court matter. Are you aware of that? What are the circumstances?
I saw that, in fact, the only memorandum that I was forwarded to by the commission, and the person writing is the defendant in the matter. And in the matter, which it is about his children, he's the same man who was attacking me in the court precincts. Equally, as advocates, we don't produce documents. We are given documents by our clients. And lastly, I've not heard of a forgery complaint anywhere else. So these are the kind of memoranda that are malicious and vexatious.
Is it a normal issue of practice that an advocate, and I'm speaking this from my own experience as well, of being an advocate, that an advocate can be accused of forging documents? Now that given, you're saying that the documents obviously do not come from you, they come from the client. You are basically representing your client's interest. It seems that there is a prolonged silent issue that I cannot understand what it is between yourself and this particular client, or is it defendant in the matter?
Yes, and I want to say that we represent our clients. The case for forgery has not been reported anywhere. It is just in that allegation. It's just in that letter. It has not even been raised before the court, the children court. And I was just answering generally, this is about documents. The documents will come from my client. So it's my client who should have been accused of forging documents, not me.
Thank you, Chairman.
And that's why I'm saying it must be out of malice or vexation. And as I said earlier, the same defender whom we jailed for not supporting the chair. So it must be some bitterness from him. And the children case is the same one that is stated there.
Okay, Professor Adams?
Yeah, Asembo, I'm impressed by your enthusiasm for the job. I'm quite impressed. But tell this panel and Kenyans why, where we have other candidates without integrity issues, and let's assume hypothetically that you have performed well as them, why we should choose you over them. You have a conviction and a sentence that you have appealed. It can go either way. You have arrears in a building in which you have a lease agreement where the owner both wants to be paid and is also seeking an eviction. You have a situation, as Bore says, where you flawed somebody. Of course, you are disputing, but the incident is there. You have an accusation in a child case. Of course, you are disputing the facts. If we were to make you the chair of the commission, and then one of those cases succeeds, of course, you know the country would have to seek another chair. I just want you to explain to the selection panel and the chair why we should take that risk, because they are pending issues.
Yeah, for me, I believe in the rule of law that you cannot condemn me, the commission will be condemning me if they consider those issues which are pending and are unresolved. So all issues.
Conviction is already in place.
No, it is the
Judgment was delivered on 23rd, is it 25th January?
23rd January.
Yes.
And I'm saying it's subject to the High Court, which we are before the High Court on Monday, and we still have a date before the High Court. So I will say that the decision of the Commission, looking at those issues alone, will be condemnatory. It will not be fair and just, because those issues can be resolved. And you say if they are resolved in my positive way, so won't the Commission have lost maybe my value? And if I lose the position and I succeed in those issues, is my loss irredeemable? Yeah.
Do you understand the essence of Chapter 6 in the Constitution?
I will not have another chance. Yeah.
Do you understand the essence of Chapter 6 in the Constitution?
Very well, sir.
Talk to us about it in regard to the things that Professor is asking you.
It's about leadership and integrity.
Do you have self-leadership?
Yes.
This is the essence why I asked you the question about the values you learned from Starehe. And
Yes.
you said we learned. I was trying to appreciate how an old boy of Starehe Boys Center and School can have such allegations against his head. Because when growing up, we all aspired to be an old boy of Starehe, and we didn't. And looking at these documents, it does appear that this panel is forced to make a decision not based on the presentation you have made, but on the presentations that we have received in terms of memoranda, which either you have declined, that you are unaware, you have said you have a conviction and you are waiting for an appeal. I don't know whether there's a stay or not on that matter. There are Kenyans who are complaining that you have not paid them their monies. So if we were to make this decision, don't you think that we will be in gross violation as a panel of Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution?
I do not think so, Chair, because there are allegations that need to be convincing, and also I am controverting. So you have to be fair to both my accusers and me also. I think you are a fair panel. You consider also me the accused.
Okay. Yes, Carol.
Chair, allow me just one more issue on this issue of the warrant of arrest that has been issued against you. It was issued on the 4th day of April 2023. I don't know if it's a civil warrant of arrest in a civil date. What is the status on this matter? Have you settled the decreto amount?
Which case with the particulars?
It's the Chief Magistrate Court at Milimani, Chief Magistrate Commercial Suit number E135 of 2021, where Prestige Management Valuers Limited complaints against you, Robert Asembo.
Okay, I will say that the matter was settled amicably.
Do you have anything to?
I can provide.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you have something to follow up, Koki?
No, Chair, now that you have given me the opportunity, I wasn't going to say anything, but I thought it is exactly the same matter I denied that he is unaware of, that is settled. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Prof, your final 2 questions, please.
Thank you very much, Juan Asembo.
Yes, Professor.
Who has served as the Secretary General of AFC Leopards in Gwe, and has also been the Deputy Is it FKF chairman?
FKF.
Tell me two former presidents of the Football Federation of Kenya by whatever name in the 70s and 80s who are once cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries and also served as Kenya Football Federation chairman.
I'll start with Kenneth Stanley Njindo Matiba and Job Henry Omino.
Who was elected president of Senegal in 2024, becoming one of Africa's youngest leaders?
I can't get the name. Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwana Akumu. Allow me to thank you for your time, for indulging us this time to interact with you, to get to learn, to hear, and we have learned a lot from you. We wish you well in this endeavor. I would like to welcome you to ask a question or make a comment kindly.
Thank you. First of all, comment is to the many Kenyans who have come to my inboxes, congratulating me for being considered for this position and for the awards of encouragement and prayers. And secondly, to the Commission for digging deep about me. And I urge that you will be fair and considerate in your overall assessment of me. I trust in the panelists. I believe despite the allegation and accusations, you will employ the fair referee rule and you'll hear my defenses also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Feel free to pick the notebook. It's yours. There's some water in front of you. You can also pick it.
Thank you very much.
Remember to pick your certificates kindly.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Okay, members of the Fourth Estate, we'll break here for lunch. And the friends of our candidate, thank you very much for coming in and for being part of the audience. We appreciate your being around. Thank you very much.